Today I'm going to um, continue a little bit with the project that we were using before. The last couple of streams were a little bit different from what I was doing before. That was to work with Construct 2 to create a small project that you have seen. So today I'm going to retake that project, and I think I still owe you some links for that project. So I have to put it there and well, just continue watching my stream. I'm going to upload this in my blog that you can see here. This is the link to my blog, and I'm going to do kind of like a compilation of all the videos, streams that I've been making lately, and put some of the links with the project so far that we have made. So in the meantime, let me go back to Construct 2, and this is the game that we have been working with so far. So I'm going to show you in case that you haven't seen it before. It's really simple, and really I am not even certain if I should call it a game, because it has many game mechanics, but it's not really that I'm following like a particular goal. I'm just trying to show different aspects of Construct 2 and how to put them together, and quite likely you can do a better job about, well, with what you already have. So I'm still going to show you how it's working so far. So you have these little aliens that are bouncing all around, and whenever you touch them, it could be with a touch screen or with your mouse, depending on your device, you get more points here in the score. And every 2 seconds I have these enemies that are the green boxes that are appearing, and also I have more pink aliens that I can touch. The entire thing is that if I get one of the enemies, I begin to lose points, and if I get to a negative score, I have a game over. I also have added a couple of layers to be able to use the well, the UI, that in this case is the score, and also this little restart button that I added here, and they appear behind. I don't know if you see that sometimes when the enemies or the little aliens move in front of the well, really move next to the score, they appear behind the score, and it's because I have added so far well, 2 layers, oh, 3. So one for the background, one for the game that has all the elements of the game, and also the UI that has the score, the game over, and hopefully to this restart button that I have added here. So of course now if I get one of the enemies, then it gets game over, and you can see that the button is beginning to cover this, and if I click on it or tap on it, I can restart the game with everything works game perfectly. So today I would like to cover 2 things. The first one I'm going to add is going to be our pause button that I should have over here. So to do that, I'm just going to move this one here. This is still going to have the same function that I have before, but I'm going to add the pause here. Why in this corner? Usually because the attention of the game, of the player, goes in these 2 different corners. So that's something that most humans do. So I'm going to add the pause over here. And also, if you're playing this game, let's suppose in a mobile device, quite likely your thumbs are going to be close to these 2 corners. So it's really good to add some controls over here. So first I'm going to add a sprite. Then I'm not entirely certain. Okay, well, it should be something over here. Base back, well, actually graphics, and then on screen controls, sprites, and I'm almost certain that I went for flat dark, no, flat light. And I should have something here that is like a pause button, so this one works perfectly. So that's even a good position. There you go. So it's in the UI, and if I run it right now, quite likely it's going to appear like too dark, so it's going to be covering everything that I have there. So I'm just going to change the opacity for, I don't know, 80% or something like that. And now if I have an element, and well, for example, this little alien that comes here, you still can see Well, you don't see it so much. I actually should lower the opacity a bit more, I don't know, 60%. So we want the user, the player, to know that it's there, but we don't want to interfere with the action that should be, well, appear in the game. Let's see if one of these enemies appeared. I still should lower it even more, but well, you see that it appears there. Is still that the white is too dark, too bright, let's say. So let's say 40%. Come on. So you still can see it, but now you can begin to see the elements that appear behind. So I'm glad. I could even like lower it even more than that, but well, that's a little bit up to you. So first lesson there, you can experiment with the opacity of things, and still, and this one is also like too bright, so let's make it at 80%. So something like that. This one, because it's only appearing from time to time, you see that it's invisible most of the time. I'm okay that that is that big, and it is much more solid than this other one that we have here. So I'm okay with that. So now, how do I make it work? How do I make the pause work? We have seen a little bit this before, and it's something that I was doing with the when we were getting into the entire game over event that we have here. So if you remember, this is going to be our graphic part, our layout, and this one is going to be our event, our logic sheet that we have here. So just to make it clear, there's something also quite great that you can add here. That is, you can press Q and you can add comments to whatever you have. So I'm just going to do that, and I'm going to add another one just to make it clear, and this is going to be called game over condition. So that way I have a better idea of what I'm doing, and I'm going to save this one as a new version of this game that in this case is going to be called Twitch 5, I think. So that means that I have been working in 5 different streams with this game, which is good. It's growing. It's taking more pieces, and I think at the end I will have to figure out what else to do with this one, just to well, to keep adding things, although I do have some other ideas of things that I want to do. But in the meantime, when we get to the game over condition, we were doing this, that is the set time scale to 0. So that's basically pausing the game. So that's the same thing that I have to do with this button that I have here. So I'm going to say when touch on touch object, and in this case is going to, well, this is sprite. I should rename it and call it pause button. So I should pause, right? But then what happens if I do that? It's quite likely going to work. I need now something to unpause, right? So one thing that I could do is to create another sprite that is going to be the play button, and then also try to figure out which, if I should pause or move it away. So I'm going to do it in a different way, just to make it more interesting. So the first thing is I'm going to change this unpause button. So I'm going to double click on it. So we're going to work a little bit today with animations. So the first thing that you have to see is that every sprite has a default animation. And most likely you have seen that we have a frame. So that's great. If I wanted an actual animation, what I need to add is more frames. And that's something that we're going to check in the same stream a little bit later. But right now I just needed to work with just one frame. So the thing is that I'm going to, when you have here animations, you can duplicate them, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to duplicate, and I'm going to call this one pause. And I'm going to duplicate this one too, but this one is going to be called play. course the frame that I have here, it's wrong because it's showing a pause button. So I need to go and find one that is more like a play, right? So we have it here. So when I'm on pause, it shows a pause. On play, it shows play. So that's cool. Now, first thing that I'm going to do to adjust this is I'm going to change the animation so it reflects what we want. It's still not going to unpause the game, but at least it's in the right direction. So I'm going to pick the pause button and I'm going to set the animation. Set animation. And you see here that's why I was being careful on the names that I was putting there, that it asks you for a name. So I know that it's going to be called play. So let's try this. You see? So it shows play. Now, really, what I need to do is, well, let me show you. I should have a way to detect if right now I'm tapping on this button, and it should detect every single time that I tap on it, right? But the thing is that right now I'm just stopping the game and I'm changing animation, and every single time, regardless if it's paused or not, is doing the same. So what I could do is to add a sub event, and I'm going to move these actions that I have here. So how do you add a sub event? You can click on the event and then right click to say add and then sub event, that in this case is S. I also could add a blank one, that's what I usually do, but you can tell that it's just the letter B, so that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to do it the first time here, and then I'm going to add another one, just pressing the letter B. So we have two sub events. We are already working here with global variables, so I'm going to use another one, and it's going to be called isPaused. And for some reason the global variables cannot be Boolean. I prefer to work with that. You can have instance variables that are Boolean, so in this case I'm just going to say number. And I'm going to follow the old notation that you have with C, that is 0 would be false and 1 would be true. So I'm just going to say paused. Is paused, basically 0, that means that is false. And then here I'm going to ask about that global variable. So is paused if it's equals 0. In this case, I'm just going to just do an else. This one is not great. If I ask immediately here if equals 1, at some point I'm going to change here and the actions that equals 1, so it will end up entering both. So I'm just going to delete this one. I'm going to right click, add, and then I have an else. So that means that if it's paused equals 0, enters here, everything else enters here. So I'm going to move these two actions, and I just have to drag them. And then it's going to be saying like, hey, if I touch the pause button, it's going to ask if it's not paused, so this case, then pause it, and then show play. Now, the thing that I have to do is to, well, and also to say now is paused, I'm going to set the value that is equals to 1. Okay? So that means that when I touch it first time, it's going to say like, hey, now it's paused. Now I'm going to swap it, and I'm going to do the opposite. And since basically I'm going to do the exact opposite of these actions, I'm going to just copy them and change them. So let's start with the first one. I'm going to set the time scale back to 1, that you see that in the explanation, that is normal speed. So it's not going to be on pause. I'm going to change the animation from play to pause. And then I am going to change is pause to 0. So the next time it's going to be able to enter the other action. So one time is going to enter here, the other time here, because I'm making certain, making sure that I'm changing these two. You don't have to do it exactly like this. You could mix them like these, basically 3 events that are 1 event and 2 sub events. You could just make them like separate, but I like it like this, especially because of the else. Then I'm just making certain that it's not going to enter in one or the other. And I kind of like the organization, like how it looks here, and it's quite visibly understandable in this game. So let's try. So right now, obviously it's not paused. I press, it's pausing, it's changing the animation, and hopefully it's changing also the variable. So now if I click again, it's changing the animation, it's pausing, and I should be able to pause and unpause. So you can tell that it's constantly pausing and unpausing, which I really like. I really like. The other thing that I'm going to do is to give you an option to go back to the main menu. So that happens in many games. When you pause the game, you have something here that says like, hey, well, if I unpause it, you just see it here. You have already the option to unpause it. You have just to press the play. But also, you should have the option to return to the main menu. In this case, if you remember, our main menu is really lame. I'm going to show you. But of course, I'm just leaving it like that, so you have the option to do whatever you want. And just to make it a little more interesting, I'm going to copy this tile background. Well, I'm going to copy it from here. So I'm going to go in the. You see that the layers of layout, they are not the same in all the layouts. So you could work with as many layers as you want or as you need. In this case, I'm just going to say. Well, I have just two elements. So this one, I'm just going to move it back to layer 1, also this one to layer 1, and I'm going to copy the background, the tile background that we have here. So it's going to make it a little more interesting, and this one should go to layer 0. Now this start button, the colors are quite awful, and also even this red, so I'm going to change them. So I don't know, something a little more toned down. Still looks quite bright, so I don't know. So what about this? No. Well, you get the idea. Something like that, perhaps, and just to make this one a little bit different, let's go for okay, something like that. I'm not happy, but it looks better than the option that we had before. And with this background, at least our menu looks a little bit better. And since I'm already here, let's do this. I already had these walls, if you remember them, from the actual menu. So these ones, I'm just going to put them a little bit outside, and you're going to see the little effect that I have. I'm going to put in my menu just to make it more interesting. And this one is going to be 0, and then just going to move it outside of the border. Now I'm actually kind of drawing front on these colors, so I'm okay with that. And I'm going to bring an alien over here, and this one, actually I'm going to make you point like that, and you are going to be pointing like this. And now if I start my menu here, I am going to have Bouncy Aliens in the menu, which is really cool. And the other thing that I don't want them to do is to go on top of the title, so I'm just going to change in this menu. I'm going to change them to the background, and I'm going to change the opacity of this one from 100 to, I don't know, 80%. And now I should have a better effect that you see our little aliens like going behind. And I haven't done it the opacity with this one, but I actually want the star to be quite visible, so that's quite good. No, I'm kind of liking it. I'm liking it. I may change. That would be a great thing to do. Yesterday I was doing this stream just to publish your game in the Windows Store. So I may publish this one and call it right there Bouncy Alien if I can. And I'm kind of liking the game, so quite likely I am going to make a different mechanic. I don't think the mechanic that I have so far in the game is great, but hey, well, let's see that this is a start, and I think it's all good, something like this. Okay, so now the thing that I want to do is to add in my level another element that we have here that it says, I don't know, like return to main menu. So since I already have this game over, I'm going to use it. And I could copy that one, but since I already have this text that says game over, I'm going just to say right click and clone object type. I'm just going to put it there. So the first thing is that I don't want this message. I wanted to say like return to main menu. It's too big, and it's because the letters are too big, so I'm just going to say 36 perhaps. That's better. And since this is not a bad message, it's something that you just want the player to well know that he can do, she can do. I'm going to change the color from red to this blue that we were having here. Perhaps I don't remember if that's the one that we had. So which one is that? Okay, that one down there. So let's use the same one to try to be a little consistent with our colors. So something like that. Let's see, the initial visibility is invisible, so that's fine. So, so if I run it right now, since the initial visibility is 0, it's not appearing, so that's good. So initial visibility here in the properties, you have it, it's invisible. So what I'm going to do is to also change the visibility in this post that we have here. Well, and also this one shouldn't be named text game over. So I'm going to call text return menu. So it's quite obvious what I'm talking about. And I'm going to change the visibility of the text return menu. Set visible. So when I'm showing the pause, I'm going to make it visible, and afterwards I'm just going to make it invisible. Something like that. Now, let's see how that one goes. So that's good. I realize that if I have too many elements, especially with the aliens, it's not so visible. That blue is too, it mixes too much, so I'm going to perhaps do a yellow that is not an element that you have, it's not a color that you have with your aliens. So let's see. I'm totally happy, but hey, I'm going to leave it like that. I'm beginning to like this, like almost pastel colors that we have here. So okay, well, now that I see it, I'm going to change then this one from a black to, I don't know, to something more like a gray. No, to mix with that one. So more like that. Okay, and then this game over also, I think it's too bright. So let's try to make it a little bit more coy. Okay, I guess, although what I'm going to do just to make it super clear, I'm going to give it a shadow. So this one is going to be a much darker color. Something like that. Let's see. So if I just destroy one of the enemies to get a game over, that's interesting. And then I just have the return. So I don't know if those are going to be the final colors, but of course it's a good option. So I'm going to close my email so that we can see this here. So now the other thing that I have to do is that whenever I press the return menu, I should actually go to the main menu, right? So I'm going to go and say touch on touch object, text return menu, and you're going to see that there is an error there, but I'm going to let you figure it out with my example, or perhaps you have seen it before. So system, I'm going to say go to layout. This is something that we already did to go from the menu to the level 1. In this case, I want to go back to the menu. And let's try it. And I'm going to show you, hopefully, the error right away. I am not pausing, so if I put it here, it should work, right? And it works, perfect. But oh, and I'm pausing the game here, so well, I'm going to restart. So it should change you. I found a good, interesting thing. And what happens if I click around or tap around this area where the return to main menu is? It shouldn't work, right? But it does work. So what's happening there? Well, it's quite simple. Is that I've changed the visibility of this message, but the message is really there. You know? So usually what you could do is to, well, you have many options. You could try to move this outside and then just move it back to the visible area, whatever you want it. And when you're not using it, move it outside. So then, since you're moving it outside the screen, then you're not going to have the chance to click on it or to tap on it, even if it's not visible, because it would be really bad if the player just taps here, even by accident, or well, not even accident, is it wants to touch one of the aliens, and it turns into this position. So what I'm going to do is just move it outside of the screen. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to well, show you how it works. Okay, so I'm going to move it out here. Well, I want this position, copy it, I'm going to move it here, and then I am just going to also change the text return and position, set position, and I'm going to copy paste. I know that it doesn't work. So 100. I'm going to round it and just say 0, 0, 0. Okay, so that's the position that I have there. And then I just want, in the other case, to move it outside of the screen. So I'm just going to say minus 1000, minus 1000. So that's quite outside of the screen. So now if I start here, nothing happens. But if I pause it, it's not showing me. Text to set position and set visible. And why is it not working? Yeah, interesting. Quite interesting, actually. Did I change it? Return text menu, set position, text menu, set position. Interesting. So I'm going to put it here, and I'm going to make the visibility visible at first. I'm going to put it here, so it's quite visible. It's quite obvious. So obviously I'm doing something wrong. So it's pausing. Huh. So I must have done something wrong, of course. Okay. I think this one was not the position. So really what I wanted was, okay, 396, let's say 179. Okay, so the thing is that I'm sending it to the to the wrong position. So I'm going to put it back here, menu, and not 1000. I'm just going to put it like that. So let's see, and now it appears and disappears, and it works. So that's really cool. This is the other error, and this is the last part that I want to do. That if I start the game, I pause it, and then go back to the menu and restart it, everything's paused. Why? Because of course I paused it over here. So what I have to do is to make certain when I press the return menu that I also unpause the game. Otherwise, it's going to be like stuck there. So let's see. I pause it. I return to the menu. My aliens are moving, so that's a good beginning. And then it goes back here. So that's really cool. Now, finally, the other part that I wanted to do with the animations is to show you how to include a strip, animation strip. So let's see which kind of animations I have here so far. So let's go to my documents, graphics. I am going to go for the base pack and my player. So right now you see that I'm using this one, the player 3 front. But what happens if I want to have like a small animation? So you see that Kenny created these awesome animations that are walking. So let me see. I show you. And you could try to cut this image with an image editor and try to get all the individual images here. But Construct 2 helps you to get strips like this in one time. So what I'm going to do, I don't know if this is something that I'm going to leave in the game, but at least for the example it's going to work, is I'm going to add the entire strip here. So I'm going to say right click, import frames, and you can just say from files that you can do it individually or a sprite strip. So that's the one that I'm going to do. So I'm going to look for it. That is going to be here, base pack, player, and I wanted this one. Now it's asking me number of horizontal cells and vertical cells, and that's because it's assuming that this is some sort of grid and that you know how many animations you have horizontal and vertical. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in horizontal, if I'm not mistaken, and 3 vertical. So let's see if that works. So it did, and quite likely I'm going to have some empty animations, and it's because it's assuming that here you also have animation. So it's the only thing that it's doing is just to cut the animation for you. So I'm going to delete those. And now what I'm going to do is to set that this animation is going to move constantly. So it's basically going to be walking all the time. To do that, just select your animation, and on the properties you see that there is this option that is for loop and is saying right now no. I'm going to say yes. I'm going to close it, and I'm going to run, and now you see that my little aliens look almost like they are moving. Also, you can see that here there are some borders that appear from time to time, and really what happened there is that quite likely when they were cutting this, there are some pieces that were cut like too close to some of the animations on the side. So that really, it's not a construct's fault. That one is just dividing exactly by the number that you're saying, and it's trying to get the pieces of the animation that you want. If that doesn't work, it could be the image itself that is not right. So that's something that you have to figure it out, or just to do it manually. But well, at least it's something cool, especially when you have strips that are like useful and that are well formed, like some of the ones that I use. So for the moment, that's what I wanted to show you today. So we saw a little bit of animations, we saw a little bit of how to pause the game, how to add like some on-screen controls, and now my game is beginning to take kind of like a cool shape. It even has some cool colors, and quite likely I'm going to change the rules a little bit later. But in the meantime, I'm just going to say goodbye for today. I'm leaving you the video here and my contact information like in all the other well, videos that we have done before, and well, hope you stay with me and check the videos later if you're interested in this game, and give some comments on my blog or my YouTube channel that also you can find on the right side of my Twitch channel. And well, hope to see you soon.